Dan, first of all, I'm excited that you're working on both sides of the street.
I have a foot in each pool. It is wet. No, it is. No, it's fun. To me, it's more a difference of writing Spider-Man and writing Superman. Like when I was just writing Spider-Man, as you walk down the street, you see something, you filter it through the Spider-Man eye. Like, how can I make that a story? How does that become a thing for Spider-Man? And it's such a different headspace when you're doing it with Superman. And it's not about the powers. It's about, I kind of like writing Superman more now than I like writing Spider-Man because Superman loves everybody. Superman cares about everyone. Superman's hopeful. Superman sees the good. And Spider-Man just sees oh my God, this is going to kill me. Oh my God, I hate this. What's going on? Where am I going to get my money? Oh my, I don't have a date. No, life sucks. So it's what kind of hat do you want to wear when you're writing? And you go, oh, this feels kind of nice. This feels good.
But all this time, you weren't burning because, Dan had a moment at DC, a long moment at DC, and then he left and was Marvel exclusive for so long. DC ideas wouldn't pop up as you were Marvelizing?
Oh, no. Sometimes an idea pops up and it's endemic to a specific character. And you write it down, you scribble it down, and you put it in that folder, and you go, someday I'll get to do that. And so you'll get a weird Green Lantern idea. And you go, okay, that goes in the Green Lantern folder. And there's way too much stuff, I'm sure with most writers, in the Batman folder. The Batman folder is huge now. It's just Brevoort would always say, you come to the story with whatever property you're writing, you come with this bucket of ideas. And when the bucket runs dry, it's time to go to the next thing.
Different bucket.
Right before it. Yeah, go do the next thing. So people are well, why would you do Spider-Man for 10.5 years? Why? No, it will never end. He's my favorite character. So it's you'll always get those Spider-Man ideas.
That's why it was great to see you come back with Spectacular, and I know how excited you were to come back with it. How's it going so far?
It is going as well as I can report. There's things I can't talk about, which you'll find about shortly. And I bugged Nick way too much, the editor. Can I say this at the show? Can I say this at the show? Can I say this at the panel? And he was like, no.
Hey, that's right.
You're gonna find out in a week to 2 weeks. It feels
D23.
Sure.
All right, let's say that absolutely. Wacker coming back as editor in chief. I pulled up an old interview that I had done with him, and we were talking about Spider-Verse. So certainly, you got a good relationship with Steve.
Oh yes, I worked with Steve when he was at DC, and before that, I went to his Steve, the guy who will be the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics. He had this amazing show. It was Kabam, or Kablam.
Something like that.
It was, where he had an improv group. And you would go to this show down in the village, and it would regularly have guest stars in the cast from the comic book community. And what it was is Steve would pretend to be a Stan Lee-like figure who was editor-in-chief of Kabam Comics. And they would tell you the story of Kabam Comics from back in the Golden Age through the Silver and Bronze Age. And when people would throw out suggestions, it would be for a different kind of hero or a different kind of thing. And the whole cast had all this stuff along the walls where they could quickly make themselves a superhero costume. And they would do highlights of the best comics. And then for the whole second half of the show, using the best bits that people voted for, they would put on the adventure of an entire, from page 1 to page 22 of the greatest Kabam comic of all time. And I loved the show so much, I went multiple times. And it was Steve, he built the show. And that got him to meet people from the comic industry. And then he started working at DC, and at DC he hired me for some stuff. And then when you guys remember 52?
The weekly comic?
The weekly comic. Steve was the guy that made that happen, so that a comic was coming out every single week of this one story for 52 weeks. And at Marvel, Amazing Spider-Man always sells this much. and then Web of Spider-Man sells this much, and Spectacular sells that much. So someone said, why don't we just call all three Amazing? And they'll say, like, genius. So that was this plan. We're going to destroy all the other comics, just call them all Amazing Spider-Man, and put the thing out 3 times a month. And they went, the guy who did 52 could do this, and they stole him from DC. And Wacker was in charge of the Spider unit, and he hired me to be one of the first 4 writers in a 4-man writing team. And then it's a bit of a grind. You're putting out 3 issues of Spider-Man a month, and the other 3 writers kind of got burnt off. They're like, yeah, I had fun. Goodbye. See ya.
Bob Gale,
Zeb Wells,
and
Mark Guggenheim went off to do Action Comics. Bob Gale was Mr. Back to the Future. He could do whatever he wanted. He was doing it for fun.
Was Joe Kelly?
Well, what happened after those 3 guys went, okay, we're done, I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm on Spider-Man. I am never leaving this book. They brought on 3 fresh horses, and that was like Joe Kelly, Mark Waid.
I'm trying to think of the 4th.
I'm trying to think of the 3rd. Fred Van Lente? Or was it Zeb Wells returning? Or was it was some
Fred? I don't think it was Fred. But anyway.
It was. Now I feel bad.
Yeah, same.
So
Zeb both times?
It was Zeb again. Yeah.
Because I knew Wade was in there, but again, I know
Wade and Kelly.
Yeah. And Joe was in there.
Yeah.
All right.
So and then it got to the point where like even Steve was like, "This is, I think we've done this enough." Like it's hard to put out the book 3 times a week. We did it for like years.
Yeah, you did.
And I knew that we were gonna. Yeah, it was Zeb, because we were gonna go down to 2 books, and there'd be Amazing would come out twice a month, and then someone would get the other book, which was going to be called Avenging Spider-Man, and that would be the satellite book. And I asked Steve out to lunch, and I made him a pitch to be the writer on Avenging, because I thought Joe Kelly was hitting the ball so well, and I had been on the book so long that I thought that was the smart take. So at the end of the lunch, I had pitched him, here's what I would do with Avenging, and I would like to stay on. And Steve went, no, I don't want to use you for Avenging Spider-Man. And I was all like, oh. And he's like, I want to keep you on Amazing. And I was like, what? And yeah. So but he told me there was a provision for me to stay on Amazing. I was doing Mighty Avengers with Koi Pham, and I was doing that every month along with my Spider-Man work. And he said, here's the deal. You can come and do Amazing twice a month, but you have to give up Mighty Avengers. And he's like, I don't care that I'm screwing Tom Brevoort. Screw him. He'll find somebody else. It'll be fine. So I told him, I don't know. I have to think about it.
Well, that was your Avenger team that you assembled.
Yeah, and I was like, I'll
pun intended.
I have to think about it. And he looked at me like, all right. And he started heading back to Marvel, and I pulled out my cell phone, and I called my dad in New York. And I told my dad what had happened, and I asked him what I should do. And he was like, you wanted Spider-Man your whole life. Are you crazy? Like, well, you call him back. And I called him back immediately. He hadn't made it back to Marvel. He hadn't, from like the lunch. He hadn't like gotten in the door yet. And I was like, I'll do it.
Outstanding.
That's
fantastic, man. No, am I right? Do you hold the record for most Spider-Man issues?
Yes. For solo Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. For solo monthly Spider-Man, yes.
Do you know the current number?
When Amazing 1000 comes out,
yeah,
it will be it'll be like 209, or if you add limited series, mini-series, free comic book day issues, all the extra, it will be an even 250.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. When you read a book like Cerebus, and Sim's like, I'm going to write this for 300 issues, and you kind of watch over time as he succumbs to madness, as no one should do this, no one should stay on the book for that long, because so I'm heading into that territory.
Exactly. Don't let this happen to you.
Yes.
Exactly, man. No, definitely.
I'll do my new issues where like Spider-Man meets God, I'll tell you my theories of life, and why one of the sexes of the two sexes is the weaker sex. Those comics are crazy. Did you guys ever get to the end of Cerebus? Yeah. Did you feel like if I was in an elevator with Dave Sim, wow, I buy all your work, but I'll be over here.
I'll let the audience ask more Spider-Man Greatest Hits questions because there's certainly a ton. But I do want to ask you about Superman and also the Superboy event that we're still in the midst of, which is fantastic, by the way. But what I really loved with Superman Unlimited, correct? Mm-hmm. What I loved about it was the idea to use kryptonite as a power source and give it to and forgive me, I don't want to be like and say, because third world is no longer, forgive me, underdeveloped country, whatever the proper nomenclature is now, but you know what I'm saying, basically.
Yeah, it's
a smaller power suddenly gets kryptonite.
Yeah, but it's kind of like Wakanda and vibranium.
Yeah,
like a country, a giant kryptonite meteor crashes to Earth in one country, and now they're monetizing it. And they're becoming one of the wealthiest nations in the world. And if you haven't been reading it, but you like the Superman books, get caught up because we're coming up to the Kingdom of Zod is the big Superman event coming up with all the super titles, and most of it's going to take place it's not fictitious. In the DC universe it exists. The nation of El Caldero.
That's who's got the kryptonite.
With the kryptonite.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And and which you've been doing Superboy, there's several obviously in all the books right now. Superman is missing, correct?
Superman has, ever since the end of the DCKO event, has been going around the time stream, empowered by the Omega Power, King Omega Power, and Superman has been bringing hope to the future. He's been restoring the future timelines with godlike powers, and he's been missing from the DC universe proper for like 5 months. So we've all taken a Superboy and made them the star of a book. And I picked young Jon Kent, who everyone has been missing, but while still having old Jon Kent around. So you're like, what? So yes, so it's
that was slightly, without spoiling, because it just happened at the end of July. There was a slight reveal of what's going on with the two young Jon Kents. And then it leads to the Zod event.
It leads to the Zod event, which is coming up, and I will. Our regular artist, who I dearly love, Lucas Meyer. No one better use him on any other book. I will kill them. He's mine. We're gonna Rachel Stott. We'll be doing our 2 Zod issues.
She's great.
She's wonderful.
Excellent, man. And you got chapter 3. Of the Zod event.
Yes, I am chapter 3 and chapter 6.
Okay.
Yes.
That's cool. And yeah, it starts this month.
It's like
it's in all
the super books. So if you like the Triangle era, that's what we're trying to do.
Does it bleed into Supergirl as well?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So it's Supergirl, Action Comics, Superman Unlimited, and Superman.
Yeah.
With Supergirl leading the charge because she has the movie.
I understand. No, that's smart, absolutely. And really, like Williamson's book, he's got Superboy Prime back trying to be good.
Which is awesome. And Superboy Prime is from our universe, so he can break the fourth wall, and he can talk about comics.
He's a big comic fan.
He's a huge, and he's working at a comic shop. It's a lot of, Josh is doing some great things with it.
It's very funny. And Mark's talking about original Superman as a boy, but because there's time travel involved, we're seeing his adventures. And
he's going to meet up with correct age Clark when Superman will be back in the Zod event. That is where you get Superman back.
In the annual, I want to say.
Well, there's going to be like a special, like here's where here's where Superman's been, and then we go right to the Zod event.
That's cool. And you had a story in 1100, Action 1100, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did it kind of resolve?
Oh no, our 1100 teed up the Zod of it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. And all three of them are in there. So that's excellent. Really, do you guys have any slot questions? I mean, he and I could keep going. Sir, please.
So, the 3 times a month with Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So many big events that you got to do. I don't know how a writer comes up with that many ideas. Is it ever a struggle to know where you were going next?
No. People ask a question like, where do you get your ideas from? And my answer is always, you're always getting ideas. In the shower, when you wake up in the middle of the night, when you're walking down the street and something weird happens, you're always getting an idea. What a writer does is they write them down. You don't let that idea flitter away. So when it's time when you need an idea, you've got files and files and files of ideas that you've saved up. I always wanted to do a story where this happens or where that happens. Sometimes you build them out of necessity. Spider Island was not a planned event. Spider Island was, we had a meeting where like a spider meeting at a diner, talking over what we were going to do, and that Marvel Publications, Marvel Entertainment, they needed a Spider-Man event at a specific point in the year, because they were going to have an X-Men event here, and they were going to have a cosmic event there, and this is where we need the Spider event. And editor Steve Wacker said to me over lunch, like, okay, what have you got for us? Like, what are we doing that's going to be our Spider event? And at that time, I told him, well, we're building to the ends of the Earth story, where Doc Ock and the Sinister Six are going to try to take over the world. And that was like the thing that we had that was most like an event. And I didn't want that to be the event because I had all these other stories I wanted to tell first. And I didn't want to rip them out to get to Ends of the Earth sooner. And Steve didn't like Ends of the Earth because he went, it's a supervillain trying to take over the world. That's every supervillain story. How do I market that? I don't like that. So, but that was the best we had. So everyone was leaving this diner miserable. Also, it was snowing. we're like, and we were not sitting at a good place. Every time someone opened the door, we'd get hit by like a cold gust. And so we're sitting there, we're all miserable. We're all putting on our coats and our gloves and our scarves, and we're about to head back into the snow. And we're going to do Ends of the Earth. And Steve doesn't know how to market it, and he's mad, and I don't know, I just lost all the stories in between, so I'm mad. And Tom Brevoort turns to me and he goes, like as we're heading out the door, he goes, so that's the end of your Doc Ock story? Doc Ock tries to take over the world and he fails. He's caught. He's stuck in an iron lung in prison and he's going to die in a few weeks. That's how you end the story of Otto Octavius. And I go, oh, no, that's not how I'm ending it. And he's like, but he only has a couple weeks to live. I'm like, a couple weeks, Marvel time. And they're like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, oh, he's going to realize hours before he's going to die how to swap brains with Spider-Man. He's going to swap brains with Spider-Man. Spider-Man will be trapped in his dying body. He'll have to form a Sinister Six to try to take down Doc Ock, who's really Spider-Man, to get his body back. And Steve goes, Doc Ock mind swap? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, that's our event. And I'm like, well, you can't. No, that can't be our event because you need Ends of the Earth before that. And he's like, you can do that in 2 issues. Okay, so you'll do Ends of the Earth in 2 issues, and then we'll do Doc Ock Mind Swap, and that'll be our big event. And that's great. Okay, we all done? Tom, you like that? Yeah. Other Tom, you like that? Yeah, we're good. Everyone good? I'm like, I'm not good. I'm not good with any of this. And we all head out into the snow. And then I head home, and I'm miserable. And by the time it takes me a long time to get home, and I get home and I get on the phone to Steve and I go, did you talk to marketing yet? Did you talk to David Gabriel? He's like, Dan, it's Friday. We're trying to get books out. Just leave us alone. And I'm like, but you haven't talked to Gabriel yet. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'll deal with it on Monday. I'm like, if on Monday I can give you something better than Doc Ock Mind Swap, can we put everything back to where it was? Ends of the Earth, 6 issues, and this and that. And Steve was like, yeah, but you're not going to beat Doc Ock Mind Swap. So I call my best friend Toby from high school. He lives in England. I get him on Skype, and I just spend the whole weekend pitching Spider-Man ideas to him for events, for big, huge things. And at one point I go, okay. Spider-Man bitten by a radioactive spider gets powers. We have bed bugs here in New York all the time. It's a problem. What if the Jackal has genetically engineered the bed bugs? They're all like radioactive spiders because he knows this from like the Clone Saga. He knows how to like where all the powers. And suddenly everyone in New York is turning into a Spider-Man. You know, Spider-Man has great power and great responsibility, but what if everyone has great power? Then is Peter Parker free to do whatever he wants? And suddenly there's like a million Spider-Men in New York. And it's like a contagion. And it gets worse. And they are all turning into monsters, and he's like, and I'm just riffing, and but at one point, like, and everyone gets spider powers, and Mary Jane has spider powers, Punisher has spider powers, J. Jonah Jameson has spider powers. He's swinging around the city, and my friend Toby's like, that's really good, and I go, wait, and I know what you call it. And he goes, what? And I go, Spider-Man Hatton, and he goes, that is awful. Do not call it that. And he goes, Manhattan is an island. What if you call it Spider Island? No, that's not bad. So I call Steve on Monday, and I give him the best pitch I got for Spider Island. And he goes, that's pretty good. Okay, let's do that. And then everything got to stay where it was. So some ideas come out of necessity. You know, come out of like, oh, my God, I have to save my other stories. So there you go.
I'm glad you did Superior eventually.
Yeah.
Doc Ock was my favorite villain. That was such a cool twist. So many emotional beats. Giving him a love interest, sending him back to school. Loved that story.
Oh, thank you very much.
Glad they let you go as long as they did.
Oh, no, it went exactly as long as we wanted. They wanted to be much shorter. No one who had Spider-Man in their book, like as a recurring character, like, you know, Future Foundation or Avengers, none of them wanted this. They wanted to tell their stories. They didn't want to waste 3 panels of every issue going, oh, by the way, reader, that's Doc Ock in Spider-Man's body, and we don't know it yet, and that's why he's acting weird, and taking focus away from when we should be talking about the Skrulls or ninjas. So both Brian and Jonathan and other writers were trying to talk me out of Superior. And at one point, they realized they weren't going to at one of the meetings. And so they started trying to talk me into having Superior be a 6-issue arc. You know, so that, because when something's a 6-issue arc and it's tied to your book, you can set your story before it and then after it and ignore it. And you can just tell the story you want to tell. We all do this. I do it. So at one point when we were talking, I'm like, why are they so against this story? And then Jonathan, who's super clever, at one point someone mentioned, you know, can you keep it up with the bi-weekly schedule? And then at one point Jonathan went, you know, I think Dan's got enough ideas here for like at least 12 issues. And I'm like, why is Jonathan being cool about this all of a sudden? And 12 issues, 6 months. He still wants to avoid it in his timeline. I'm like, I got your number, you clever so-and-so. Why?
What sparked your brain to come up with the idea for Superior Spider-Man?
I write close to Marvel style. So what I do is I write a plot first, which tells the artist, here's how many panels I think are on every page. Here's what I'd like to see in every panel. We can talk about it, and here are the page turns. And then they're drawing from that. And then when I get the art back, it's my turn to script it and add dialogue and sound effects. So in a weird way, I get to write every issue twice. And the reason why you do that is because to see what energy the artist brings to the page. Like, I had a story once where the FF and the Mighty Avengers were against each other, and Reed Richards and Hank Pym were having an argument over a Zoom. And the way I wrote it in my head, it was like an episode of Frasier. It was very, and the way the artist drew it, it was like WWF. So I had to like match the intensity of the art. I can't do it the way I originally wanted to do it because we got to work in in sync. Sometimes it's not like that, but that's like an extreme example. But when I was working on Amazing Spider-Man 600, in that story, we established Doc Ock was dying, and he wanted, instead of like later on where he was, I'll do something terrible and try to take over the world, when he's originally dying, he's thinking, I want to leave the world a gift so that when everyone will think kindly of Otto Octavius and remember me forever. So he comes up with a way, the same way his mind can interact with his mechanical limbs, he puts on this helmet, and he puts his mind into every machine in New York. And in his mind, he will have now created the perfect city. All the trains will run on time, everything will work together in unison, because it's all powered by the great mind of Otto Octavius. But we know Otto Octavius, on his subconscious level, he will forever hate Spider-Man. So now every machine in New York and all of New York is trying to kill Spider-Man. And the way Spider-Man saves the day is he goes to Doc Ock's lair, he puts on the mental helmet, he gets his mind into all the machines, and he calms everything down. And when it was time to, that's how I plotted it, and when I was scripting it, I was looking at it with fresh eyes. And I was like, Spider-Man, you're an idiot. Like, look at this. Like, Doc Ock's dying. He's a mad scientist. And he could put his mind into machines and machines into minds. And you're putting your mind into his mind helmet? You just gave him a map of your brain waves. When he's dying, he's going to switch brains with you. And that's good. And then you type that up. So that's where the idea came from. It was scripting 600. Gave me the idea for 700. Hey. Go for it.
First of all, I was rereading Craven's last time, and he kept on quoting himself as Superior. Did you get any inspiration from that for Superior Spider-Man?
The whole Craven's Last Hunt, I will be Spider-Man, I will take... no, I got the idea from 600 doing it that way. But I've seen people go, this feels similar. Yeah, because it's the hero trying to be the villain trying to be the hero. Yeah.
And then the other question, what's your favorite Spider-Man story? Not just what you wrote, but also what other people have written.
Amazing Spider-Man 90. The Death of Captain Stacy is my favorite Spider-Man story. It was the first Spider-Man story I read. I read it, the Marvel Tales version. I can't remember the numbering. But when I was a kid, I was reading Spider-Man on 3 time frames at the same time. I was reading the Ditko era in the pocket books. I was reading the Son Senior era in Marvel Tales, and I was reading like Ross Andrew and Gil Kane in my present day.
Our present day.
And so I was reading 3 time frames, and in Ditko world, Captain Stacy, we hadn't met him yet. And in our time, he was nowhere to be seen. Where did Captain Stacy go? And it totally blindsided me. I'm reading the Marvel Tales, and Captain Stacy dies, and Spider-Man's holding him in his arms, and he takes him somewhere, and he calls him Peter. He knew the whole time,
Yeah.
and he'd always been helping him, and he asks him to look after Gwen, and you're like,
Yeah, totally.
First comic that made me cry.
Did Conway write that? Because I know he wrote Death of Gwen Stacy. I can't remember if he wrote Captain
No, that
Stacy.
had to be, that was still Stan.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Because that's when Death of Gwen Stacy, I read in Marvel Tales. So we're contemporaries.
Yeah.
Presumably on Unlimited, you brought back the young Jon Kents. Did you do that because people had wanted it, or because you wanted to do a story that?
Yeah, could you choose your super?
Okay, here's the true story. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for this. I wanted to do it for real. I wanted to do the setup of young Jon Kent and old Jon Kent together as a team. You're your own kid sidekick. I wanted that really bad. Before there was even a Superboy event, I wanted to do this. And I brought it up in Superman Zooms. And Paul Kaminsky, the editor, didn't want to go near it with a 10-foot pole because of everyone's strong feelings about both Jon Kents. And both Mark Waid and Josh didn't want me to go near it because in their mind, eventually young John would have to go back to the volcano for the timeline to work. And my take is why? Why? Why can't I Thomas Riker him? Why can't I do like 12 million things that you could do in a comic book universe? I replaced him with a robot and left the robot in a volcano. Like, who cares? I don't time travel. I could do whatever I want with time travel. I can, boom. I have 5 Jon Kents. You know, like, why are you guys getting hung up on this? No, he has to go into the volcano. So, yeah, I really wanted to do it badly. And when it was time for the Superboys event and we were all picking Superboys, I'm like, oh, come on, I got to do this. And it was Paul that went, okay, here's an idea. What if he's from Earth 3? And I was like, ooh, okay, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to play with this for a while, but I think this could work. So Paul came up with that twist, and I was like, yeah. And the more I played with it, the more I liked it. And we will, one of the things we want to do in the future is a done, like when we need a break for Lucas, a done in one issue where we will check in on Earth 3. And see what's going on with Jon Kent. Yeah.
Wow, spoiler, man.
Yeah. No, but it's I'm not telling you what we're going to do.
All right, there you go. No, I meant in terms of revealing that it was Earth 3, John. But it's cool.
Oh, well, people have read it.
I'm teasing you.
People have read it.
It's totally cool. I'm sorry, Miss Pooh.
Hi.
It's okay. You can talk. Yeah. I guess it's not turned on.
I have 2 questions, and then I need to confirm one thing.
Okay.
My friends don't believe me about that.
All right.
First question: since you've been writing Spider-Man for so many years, who do you think is his best love interest? Wed, MJ, Felicia, the girl, his next door neighbor in that one Spider-Man movie?
The chocolate cake girl? Yeah, that is the greatest moment in motion picture history. That is everything you need to know about Spider-Man. He doesn't know what to do. He's at the end of his tether. He's tried to do everything right. God, what do I do? There's a knock on the door, and a girl gives you chocolate cake. God bless you, Spider-Man. Yeah, that's the flip side of biting down on the hot dog really hard. Yeah. I would say the greatest love for Spider-Man and his love interest is Aunt May.
Dodge.
She loves him so much. He's so special. No, that's not going to do it for you, is it?
She's a little disappointed. Exactly, man. Bummer.
I would like to think, just like in the real world, maybe it's someone you haven't met yet.
Is that confirmation Spider-Man's going to get a new love interest?
Yes, but it's secretly the chameleon.
Hey.
My second question was, whose idea was it for Lex Luthor and Superman to have Connor Kent?
Oh, I do not know the answer for that.
It might be Jeff Johns during Teen Titans.
But I thought it was so much better than Donovan, like to have it be Luthor. And it makes Connor so much cooler to be half Superman, half Luthor. I was not up on all my lore, and I was asking on the last Zoom, like, I thought it would be really cool if Connor made a heel turn because all his hair started falling out. I thought that, and they were like, it's been done, Dan. They've already done it. They've done Bald Connor. I'm like, oh.
I thought Lex was bald because of the radiation from the kryptonite.
I like that even better, that's the current reason. The great thing about the DC universe is there's been 12,000 crises in 50 hours, and it's whatever you want. That's my take. People are like calling my Beppo 2. I'm like, no, he's Beppo 1 now. There's one Beppo, my Beppo. All other Beppos are false Beppos.
But I read this book called The League of Incredible Superheroes, and in it, it said that Superman had a team with Supergirl, a horse, Crypto, and I think a cat.
Yeah, streaky.
And at some point, I have no clue if this was made up or not, but the horse becomes a human and Supergirl fall in love, and then becomes a horse.
Yeah, Comet. There's a lot of stuff going on with Comet, and you're like, who was writing this stuff?
There are a lot of psychoses in
A
the
lot
60s.
of stuff going.
Yeah.
Comet, man.
I don't think it'd fly today. Absolutely. Yeah.
Super Catherine the Great going on there.
I was telling my friend about this, and they were like, that's a lie.
No. It's for real. Comet turns into a boy. Yeah.
And didn't he also like a centaur for a minute as well?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So half man, half horse.
Yeah.
All kinds are wrong. Absolutely, but it did happen.
There should be a comet with like Lori Lamaris's people, so it's like half horse, half fish.
Seahorse.
Yeah. That would be great.
A centaur and Aquaman fell in love.
It could happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
Sure.
It's comic books.
There's got to be female centauresses. I don't know. I'm Greek and I don't even know that. So I should know the mythology.
Yeah, no, comet's real.
Yeah. Yep.
I believe in comets.
That was great, though.
That was
That's a
great.
good callback. It did. Yeah, no, it's on the record. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yes. Yes. Okay. The story I wanted to tell that they wouldn't let me. There is a Spider-Man supervillain named Swarm, and he is Fritz von Meyer, an evil Nazi made of bees. He is a Nazi made of killer bees. And if you blew a fan at it really hard, there'd be like a skeleton, and then they'd all come back. And he's for real, and he's a Spider-Man villain. And every Swarm story is the same story. He just fires bees at you. That's it. It's this Nazi firing bee. Sometimes all the bees form a giant bee, and the giant bee comes for you. But he either fires bees or sends giant bees after you. And I had been on the book for ages, and I had played with every supervillain. And I went to see Wacker, and I went, I've got my Swarm story. I know how to do Swarm, where it's not just about the bees. And he goes, what would you do? And I'm like, it's about the honey. The honeys the bees are making. So Swarm would get inside like a beekeeper suit, and he would go down to like the, what do they call it? Like Union Square, where they have the market, the farmer's market. And he'd be selling his artisanal honey, which would be coming from his own bees. And everyone who eats the honey becomes a Nazi. Under his control. Sure. And Steve is like looking at me as I'm pitching this. I'm like, and you call the story Nazi Gold. And he was like, you will never tell that story at Marvel Comics.
So let's see Spider-Man elsewhere, much like John Byrne recently. And you got
no. Because it would be me doing it. It would be all these like Tom King stick figures. With little swastikas so you know they're Nazis.
All right, that's a Nazi.
No, that's a Nazi. I am suddenly, but I like the way like on a DC comic cover, you could have a character go like, I'm being turned into a puppet. I'm being turned into a Nazi. It would be great. Who wouldn't buy that?
Writes itself.
Everyone wouldn't buy it. But what was Oh, one that I had to tell. There have been times where, like, we were working on Brand New Day, where everyone kept asking questions about where did Harry come from, because Harry Osborn should logically be dead. And whenever we talked about it, we're like, oh, he was in Europe? We were like, tell the story. So I bit the bullet. No, and I'll tell the Harry story, because people were asking. And I think that was like my weakest story. I don't hate it, but it was like I had to tell it. Steve really wanted to do a white version of Venom, because he was certain that the toy companies could then make a white Venom toy with a black Venom spider. And he really was pushing this hard in the group. And it kept annoying me because everyone kept calling it White Venom. And I kind of knew that eventually that would be the name. And I was saying, I hate this. And they're like, what's so wrong with White Venom? I'm like, it sounds like a girl's drink. Like, I'll have a pink squirrel and a white Venom. I do not like this. So at one point I took that story because I didn't want someone else to write it, and I didn't want White Venom to be a thing. So that's why I went, like, you call it Anti-Venom. Look it up in the dictionary. It's a word. It exists. It's a thing. He is now Anti-Venom, and you can do the bit. And that's what. But that turned into New Ways to Die with John Romita Jr., and I love that story. That came out great. But that was like a had-to-tell story.
Cool. Oops.
I love when you say it that way. Like, I worked with so many great artists. You kind of go, I love them all because they're like my children, and I loved every single one of them. But the No One Dies is really high up there. I really like the No One Dies story.
Thank you for everything. Love all the runs. When it came to Brand New Day and everything having to change and like the whole backlash, everyone not being happy, I know we need to see Peter be more grounded and everyone needs to relate, but eventually, do you see him eventually do you ever see them telling Aunt May and having him maybe receive some of his old memories back? Kind of like what they did with the movie now. Mm-hmm. And would it be in another stage of his development to just be like, hey, I can live without Aunt May, and maybe Aunt May's sacrificing herself to bring everything back? Because I know she's such an important character. Uncle Ben's never coming back, and it now feels like Aunt May can never die.
It felt really weird to me being in the Brand New Day team with all the mail coming in that was getting really bloodthirsty about just kill Aunt May. She's lived long enough. And I'm like, can I send this letter to your ma? Can I show this letter to your ma? This is how you feel, you ungrateful bastard? So, yeah, no, it's...
But you could have had some of that toxic honey that you were talking about, exactly.
No, but we actually, when I was doing... the later on I got into the stories, I had Mr. Negative alter Aunt May, and our nickname for her was Auntie May, and she was evil Aunt May doing all this stuff and acting in a way to Peter where it'd be like, get a job already, saying everything we wanted to say to Peter.
But devil's advocate, honestly, because I understood. I mean, I didn't care because I'm interested in the story and what are you guys going to do with it when you're splitting up MJ and Peter. But I can also see that argument of, all right, he's sacrificing his wife for Mom, and I understand, but it's like Peter's kind of a mama's boy at this point, isn't he?
You say that like it's a bad thing. No, but...
I mean, I understand the character. You know what I'm saying?
The only thing that gets fans more bloodthirsty, it seems, is when Peter starts dating someone else.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's like, we hate Shay. We hate
Felicia.
this Carly. We hate
everybody.
We hate her so much. Which, part of me is like, if I was writing the main book, and I would never write the main book again. I would never.
Why not?
Twice a month, it would kill me.
Well, that's true.
I would never write the main
That's
book.
fair.
But if I was writing the main, I would have Peter date someone and have her turn into a villain, and people, it would be perfect because everyone would already be hating this person so much.
How about the Paul hate, though?
I was going to say, that's so Paul.
Yeah, I mean, right.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody hates Paul.
But
Exactly.
isn't Paul dead?
Oh, did they finally kill him?
Yeah. So you guys now we're just beating literally a dead horse when we're doing Paul jokes now.
He also like Harry's girlfriend.
What?
Harry's girlfriend that ended up becoming like the.
Menace? Yeah. Yeah.
But I just see it more like I look at it as I've gotten older and grown, and I try to see where like.
Okay. No, but see, that's no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Where I can see Aunt May, if she ever knew the sacrifice he made,
Yeah, but
she would be like, I would rather.
I understand, but and this is the thing. People say like Miles can be the new Spider-Man, and Spider-Man doesn't grow old with you. He won't. He never will.
Yeah, he can't.
Spider-Man will never grow old with you. That's part of the process. Spider-Man will be there tomorrow for the new 8-year-old who's starting to read Spider-Man. And he will be there 3 years from now for the 8-year-old who's starting to read Spider-Man. Stan once said if he could, he wouldn't have graduated him from high school. If he knew the franchise was going to go on this long, he would have really dragged out those high school years. If you ever get a chance, everyone should look it up, and they should look it up now. They should go out and buy it now, and because Carl Kiesel is here, and get Carl Kiesel to autograph it. There's a Fantastic Four annual. I want to say 17. I'm probably wrong. Or it might be something like Fantastic Four 94 or something, like when they named them after years, where the premise is the Thing accidentally activates a device in Reed's lab. He thinks he's opening up the fridge late at night. He's looking for a snack, and it zaps Ben to another universe. And it's the universe where Marvel, everyone aged up 1 year for every year when the franchises started. And what's that Marvel universe like now? And it's a beautiful story. And that annual was kind of like the guiding inspiration to Chip Zdarsky's life story. But Carl did it first. And in this Fantastic Four annual, it's beautiful. And one of the things you find out, like the Thing, because of the nature of his skin and whatever, you find out he doesn't age. And one of the things you find out in the story is that he has a poker game, like he usually has, but his poker game has kind of devolved down into he only plays poker with the immortals. So he plays with Thor and Wolverine, and at one point he screws up during the poker match, and they realize he's not their Ben. And he's looking around, he goes, okay, yeah, I'm from another universe, but tell me. And he starts asking them the questions we would ask him. And he wants to know what happened to Peter Parker. And in that universe where everything goes by a year, you find out that 1 year this girl he loved got thrown from a bridge. And then we've never seen him since. And you're like, it just like, but that feels right.
It was Gwen. Yeah, we got.
But I had to look it up. Fantastic Four annual 1998.
1998.
Well done, sir.
Go find it in the back issues and get
excellent.
Carl to autograph it today.
Remember that point though, yeah, you're right. He can't, and we get all those other great side things that allow it, like the new Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like all that stuff is those one-offs that are great.
Yeah.
They're fun to work on too. And if you've never read Amazing Fantasy 1000, I do a one where he's 60 years old, and that hurt to write, but it was fun.
We must wrap. I'm so sorry. But this was wonderful. Dan Slott, everybody.
Yay, thanks.
We want to make time for the people that come in. But you did good.